Book 3. 3 heroes with a single aim. Chapter 1. Tanelorn Eternal. Tanelorn had taken many forms in her endless existence, but all those forms save one had been beautiful. She was beautiful now, with the soft sunlight on her pastel towers and her curved turrets and domes, and banners flew from her spires. But they were not battle banners, for the warriors who had found Tanelorn and stayed there were weary of war. She had been here always. None knew when Tanelorn had been built, but some knew that she had existed before time and would exist after the end of time, and that was why she was known as Eternal Tanelorn. She had played a significant role in the struggles of many heroes and many gods, and because she existed beyond time, she was hated by the Lords of Chaos, who had more than once sought to destroy her. To the north of her lay the rolling plains of Ilmiora, a land where justice was known to prevail, and to the south of her lay the desolation which was the sighing desert, endless wasteland over which hissed a constant wind. If Ilmiora represented law, then the sighing desert certainly mirrored something of the barrenness of ultimate chaos. Those who dwelled in her had loyalty neither to law nor to chaos, and they had chosen to have no part in the cosmic struggle which was waged continuously by the lords of the higher worlds. There were no leaders and there were no followers in Tanelorn, and her citizens lived in harmony with each other, even though many had been warriors of great reputation before they chose to stay there. But one of the most admired citizens of Tanelorn, who was often consulted by the others, was Rakia, of the ascetic features, who had once been a fierce warrior priest in the Eastlands, where he had gained the name of the Red Archer, because his skill with a bow was great, and he dressed all in scarlet. His skill and his dress remained the same, but his urge to fight had left him since he had come to live in Tanelorn. Close to the low west wall of the city lay a house of 2 stories, surrounded by a lawn in which grew all manner of wild flowers. The house was of pink and yellow marble, and unlike most of the other dwellings in Tanelorn, it had a tall, pointed roof. This was Rakia's house, and Rakia sat outside it now, sprawled on a bench of plain wood, while he watched his guest pace the lawn. The guest was his old friend, the tormented albino, Prince of Malnibone. Elric wore a simple white shirt and breeches of heavy black silk. He had a band of the same black silk tied around his head to keep back his mane of milk-white hair which grew to his shoulders. His crimson eyes were downcast as he paced, and he did not look at Rakia at all. Rakia was unwilling to intrude upon his friend's reverie, and yet he hated to see Elric as he was now. He had hoped that Tanelorn would comfort the albino, drive away the ghosts and the doubts inhabiting his skull, but it seems that even Tanelorn could not bring Elric tranquility. At last Rakia broke his silence. "It has been a month since you came to Tanelorn, my friend, yet still you pace, still you brood." Elric looked up with a slight smile. "Aye, still I brood. Forgive me, Rakia, I am a poor guest." "What occupies your thoughts?" "No particular subject. It seems that I cannot lose myself in all this peace. Only violent action helps me drive away my melancholy. I was not meant for Tanelorn, Rakia." "But violent action, or the results of it, produces further melancholy, does it not?" "It is true. It is the dilemma with which I live constantly. It is a dilemma I have been in since the burning of Imrir, or perhaps before." "It is a dilemma known to all men, perhaps," Rakia said, "at least to some degree." "Aye, to wonder what purpose there is to one's existence, and what point there is to purpose, even if it should be discovered." "Tanelorn makes such problems seem meaningless to me," Rakia told him. and I had hoped that you too would be able to dismiss them from your thoughts. Will you stay on in Tanelorn? I have no other plans. I still thirst for vengeance upon Thaleb Kana, but I now have no idea of his whereabouts. And as you or Moonglum told me, Thaleb Kana is sure to seek me out sooner or later. I remember once when I first came to Tanelorn, you suggested that I bring Cimmeril here and forget my desire for vengeance against Urkun. I wish I had listened to you then, Rakia, for now I think I would know peace, and Cimmeril's dead face would not be infesting my nights. You mentioned the sorceress who you said resembled Cimmeril. My Shella, she who was called Empress of the Dawn. I first saw her in a dream, and when I left her side it was I who was in a dream. We served each other to achieve a common purpose. I shall not see her again. But if I shall not see her again, Rakia. As you say? Once more the two friends fell silent, and there was only birdsong and the splash of fountains in the air as Elric continued his pacing of the garden. Some while later, Elric suddenly turned on his heel and went into the house, followed by Rakia's troubled gaze. When Elric came out again, he was wearing the great wide belt around his waist, the belt which supported the black scabbard containing the rune sword, Stormbringer. Over his shoulders was flung a cloak of white silk, and he wore high boots. I go riding, he said. I will go by myself into the Sighing Desert, and I will ride until I am exhausted. Perhaps exercise is all I need. Be careful of the desert, my friend, Rakia cautioned him. It is a sinister and treacherous wilderness. I will be careful. Take the big golden mare. She's used to the desert, and her stamina is legendary. Well, thank you. I will see you in the morning if I do not return earlier. Take care, Elric. I trust your remedy is successful and your melancholy disappears. Rakia's expression had little of relief in it as he watched his friend stride towards the nearby stables, his white cloak billowing behind him like a sea fog suddenly risen. Then he heard the sound of Elric's horse as its hooves struck the cobbles of the street, and Rakia got to his feet to watch as the albino urged the golden mare into a canter and headed for the northern wall beyond which was the great yellow waste of the Sighing Desert, which could be seen. Moonglum came out of the house, a large apple in his hand, a scroll under his arm. Where goes Elric, Rakia? He looks for peace in the desert. Moonglum frowned and bit thoughtfully into his apple. He has sought peace in all other places, and I fear he'll not find it there either. Rakia nodded his agreement. But it is my premonition that he'll discover something else, for Elric is not always motivated by his own wishes. There are times when other forces work within him to make him take some fateful action. You think this is such a time? It could be.